All right, boys. Well, I mean, that is a great way to end a season. I mean, that's probably the best Super Bowl I can remember of the past couple of years. Jared, you were there. What was that like from the inside? I mean, it was great to watch, but I'm sure even better to be there in person.
Surreal. Just the emotional high of being there all day. First of all, it was hot. It was hot. Like that tailgate outdoors, the first 3, 4
It
hours
snowed
we
here. I
had
don't
were
want to
here.
hear. I don't complain about being
Yeah,
hot. I don't want to
that
hear it.
that's fair. But I would rather be cold than hot. I hate being hot. I'm sweating. I'm a big guy. So just the lead up to the game, the build up to the game was it was like a giant cocktail party. It was like a Florida Georgia game, right? But then once you got inside and that clock started ticking down, got to an hour left to kick off, and then the players are starting to come out onto the field, and you could feel like it was very just, I don't want to say stressful, but you could feel the angst in the building. And then the game kicks off, and it's a football game, and there was a lot of you guys probably used to this too because you watched these games, but it took a long time between each commercial break. Like it felt like the game was very slow at times, and there was a lot of breaks in the game. But man, that was an amazing just experience. The Super Bowl halftime show was awesome.
Yeah.
And LA is a cool place to host a Super Bowl. Granted, this is the first one I've been to, so I guess this is really the only reference point I have. But I think it's a party town. They know how to host a party here, and the whole week was just all these events and activations and experiences and amazing, just overall vibe. And what a game too. That was the thing that made it better. Was the game was right down to the wire, final moments, and the Rams pulled it out.
Hey, we're going to talk more about the game in just a couple of minutes, but I want to correct you real quick. It's Georgia-Florida game, not the Georgia-Florida game. Make sure you get that right.
Yeah, they get mad about that up there.
Listen, I'm trying to help you out a little bit here, but
I appreciate that.
Zeno, what is your main takeaway before we get into the game here from the halftime show? Because I think that was
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say you're an old guy, but I mean, I feel like
I'm the elder statesman here. Yes.
The older generations, I feel like, didn't enjoy the halftime show. The younger generation, and I don't even know if I count as young anymore, but 30 and under enjoyed it. Where do you sit on the halftime show? Were you enjoying yourself?
No, I thought it was great. I thought Dr. Dre looked a little bit tired, to say the least. He looked a little bit winded, but still, no. I thought it was a great halftime show. I certainly enjoyed it. I don't try to compare, halftime shows or anything like that. I mean, it was, it was
the greatest halftime show of all time.
Okay, well, that's, again, a little aggressive, but neither here nor there.
Prince dethroned. But
for me, it was like, right in my wheelhouse as far as the music that I grew up with. I was curious how, the 33 and under crowd, even if they actually knew the hell this was.
Yeah, for sure.
You do, but
a lot of early 2000s in there. And then, but I mean, obviously, Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, that was
those songs took me back to high school. They really did. Like middle school, high school.
It was right in the wheelhouse for me in college. And so, it was a great halftime show. I certainly enjoyed it.
As a New Yorker, I got to ask you, because, well, first of all, 50 Cent hanging upside down. How long was he hanging upside down?
Yeah, he was like Spider-Man up there. What was that? That was crazy.
Are we going to see the resurgence of G Unit beaters this summer? Are we going to see your fellow New Yorkers out and about in the G Unit beaters, which I haven't probably seen since 2003?
Yeah, I might have to break out an old one here. I think I still got one somewhere in a closet or in a drawer somewhere, but those things never go out of style if you ask me. I mean, sleeves are always optional where I come from. So, sometimes
definitely, especially in New York. All right, let's get to the show. Before we do, make sure you subscribe to the Pickswise YouTube channel and download the Pickswise app, available on the Apple App Store and in Google Play. And we're live on YouTube right now. If you have any questions or comments about anything we're talking about, throw it in there. I'm going to be checking the comment section throughout the show and throw some stuff out there to the guys if fits what we're talking about here. On today's show, we're going to recap the Super Bowl, talk about some college basketball, some NBA, and get into some NHL Ice Picks before giving out our plays of the day. So without further ado, let's bet it. And let's start with the Super Bowl, obviously. Rams win, don't cover. Game goes under. Today's headline, I got to ask you guys, if you were to put together a headline from last night's game, what was the story? What's your headlines? Then I'll start with you.
I would think it would be something centered around Matt Stafford finally getting to the top of the mountain. after toiling for a dozen years in Detroit. Certainly he's a guy that everybody has looked at as somebody who's sort of earned this moment, right? I think that there were a lot of squandered opportunities by both teams, more so the Bengals. And again, I think the game itself it was a fun, interesting game to watch. It was back and forth, but for all of the bluster about Matt Stafford, it was a typical Matt Stafford game. It was a real mixed bag of results, right? It wasn't really great, but it wasn't really terrible. He made a bunch of mistakes, made some really good throws. It's kind of been sort of a microcosm of his whole career of a mixed bag of results. And, he's on the right team. And so now he's a Super Bowl champion.
Jared, your headline.
One Stafford, 2 cups. Cup, Cooper.
It's a little gross, dude, but yeah, I get where you're going with that.
Cooper Cup. He was the guy that saved the day. Stafford made one amazing throw, and I didn't see. That was the thing. A lot of things I missed. A lot. Like I had to go back and rewatch the game, even though I watched the game live, because I missed the no look throw. That throw was sorcery, and Cooper Cup, just when he is looked at and when he is targeted, he's always open. Like it's just, and like the first touchdown was in the end zone that I was sitting in, and it was, that play design was like just perfection. It was like a hot knife through butter. How he just fit, and you might want to cover him, right? Well, that's just how he operates. He knows where to line up, and they know where to put him, and then they just roll him in those right spots, and he finds those open pockets. Toasted Eli Apple on the final drive. Cooper Kupp I think if it wasn't Cooper Kupp MVP, it should have been Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
And that Rams defensive line deserves a ton of credit. That was our handicap the entire week. Joe Burrow is amazing. Awesome story. He is going to be running for his life in this game. And he was in the second half. He almost got knocked out of the game. And I think we might get an injury, knee sprain, something from him at some point over the next week or two, because he did not look good on those last couple of drives. So I think it was Cooper Kupp, and I think it was the Rams defensive line that stole the show, the headlines for those games. And that's what I would say, Rams fans can take with them. They went all in, and they won the pot. They won the World Series of Poker right there. They got their bracelet.
Cooper Kupp, deserving of that MVP.
Sure.
Because I don't want to say he disappeared, because I don't think that's fair, but I don't think
his coach made him disappear.
He wasn't being utilized as much.
Yeah.
In the second and third quarters. I think, especially after the Odell injury, I thought we were going to see more Cooper Kupp, and we didn't.
Agreed.
Until that final drive, until the game's on the line.
They ran it way too much.
I mean,
they had to go to him. I think that was the big
this
moment.
game
I think he won that.
When good things happen to bad coaches, because that's what kind of showed like, honestly.
That's pretty good.
There's a lot of reason, and people on the surface, so no bad coaches make Super Bowl. You guys, it's just not true. I mean, see Bill Callahan, see Jim Fossil. Like these are not like superior coaches here, and especially with the game the way it is now. Between Zach Taylor and Sean McVay, how many more times did I have to watch Sean McVay hand the ball off to Cam Akers? By the way, hit his rushing under prop. Hand the ball off to Cam Akers
easily,
repeatedly running into a wall. Why did he wait 3.5 quarters to just force feed the ball to his best offensive player in Cooper Kupp? Why in the world does Zach Taylor have Samaj freaking Pirine in the game with the game on the line? Like, these are just baffling head coaching decisions that I'll never understand.
Yeah, we got an interesting question in the chat here that I want to throw out to you guys. Oh wait, it got taken away, but I saw it, so I'm gonna go with it anyway. What would you? I was asking about the officials, and what would you rate the officials 1 to 10? I thought it was officiated. I mean, the way I like my Super Bowls, I don't want to even know the officials exist, so they let them play. The only problem I have is that missed face mask call, which, Jared, you obviously couldn't see
terrible
in the stadium, but when you watch the highlights, I mean, it was a pretty egregious face mask to open the second half. I mean, Zeno, we're watching, and I mean, Jalen Ramsey did get beat by Jamar Chase in that one, but something just looked off. Something looked off immediately on that play with T. Higgins, and then we see the replay, and the officials, right? I mean, just. What would you rate the officials? Because then, the big story is the end of the game, that last drive, the holding calls, the pass interferences, which they were holding, but they were letting that go.
There was holding on the linebacker. I thought the linebacker call was a little bit ticky-tack. There was
definitely not crossing the linebacker's face without, and he held him. He grabbed. He didn't. It wasn't as egregious, but it was
right. I mean, again, it's just the way you let them play all game long to pull the flag out at that point in time is the issue, right? Like you kept the flags in your pocket the entire game. To throw it out there with 90 seconds left is just, it had to be so overt. And I don't think the linebacker one was overt. The one on Eli Apple, that was very overt, right?
Yeah,
like,
that was
grab of the
bad.
jersey and a pull. I had no
Yeah.
issue with that one. But the one on the linebacker, it just looked, again, especially since he got in front of him and put his hand out and deflected the ball, like he didn't impede his
You didn't
progress
see
on
the
his
jersey
route.
pull that you usually
Yeah.
get with that.
Yeah, I mean, it just wasn't as egregious as I thought, considering how they called the entire game. I thought it was
Yes.
sad to pull it out at that point in time.
Fair.
That I agree with. And again, I did miss a lot of the replay because like it's hard to see this stuff. When I watched the replay of the Cooper Cup holding call, I was a little bit. When I watched the replay of the face mask that they missed on T. Higgins, I was like, whoa, because that play. I'll be honest, if that play doesn't happen and they call OPI, I think the Rams win by 2 scores. Like because their offense, the Bengals offense, did absolutely nothing in the second half. That was the one pop of score that they were able to get, and then they got a field goal on the interception drive. But that play really tilted the game. I think the Rams probably score anyways, even without that Cooper Cup holding call. It would have been 3rd down, and so I think
that was third down.
That was third down. Yeah,
okay,
they would have had a chance to do it on 4th down. And again, and look, they could have scored on 4th down. There's no doubt about it, right?
Yes.
But still, it's just the timing of that flag to me was just bad, considering how the previous 58 and a half minutes.
Agreed. Not. I think the worst non-call or call officiating moment of the night was the T. Higgins play. To me, that when a guy's face mask gets ripped, in my opinion, that's the easiest call for an official to make.
But can we just add one thing?
Go like this, for no reason. Like,
is it me or
Ramsey didn't sell that well either, because
close?
he just stood up and was I mean, you got to sell that. You really got to make them hear and make them.
But his head did jerk back pretty hard. Like when I watched the replay of that, I was like, wow, like. It was
very odd.
And then all of a sudden, he went like,
okay, but again, can we just acknowledge the fact that T. Higgins had him beat, and the only reason he got face mask was because he was behind him. Like Jalen Ramsey really got exposed last night.
Ramsey had a bad night, and then on that last drive with Chase, he total missed.
Well, he tried to end the game. He tried to go for the pick on the Chase play. I mean, just
stupid.
I mean, listen, I think Tre'Davious White, AJ Terrell should be calling up and screaming about an All-Pro nod that they probably deserved over him.
Last thing about the game, then we'll move on here, because I know you have a lot to say about this.
Oh,
is Matt Stafford going to live forever in Canton now? I mean, I think that's the
as
question.
long as he buys a ticket, yes. I mean, what are we doing? Like, this is insane. It is literally an insane conversation to have. You are talking about a quarterback whose resume does not include a single MVP vote, has never led the league in any major passing category, has never even gotten an All-Pro. He's only made 1 Pro Bowl. That is the same statistical resume in those 4 measures as Trent Dilfer. Like, stop. I don't care how many passing yards he has. I don't care how many passing touchdowns he has. This is a guy with a below 500 record as a quarterback. People were chiping at Eli Manning for not getting in because he was 500 at the end of his career. Stop. Matt Stafford is a fine player. He's a very good player. He does not deserve to be in Canton right now as of this moment.
Agree.
If he has 3 or 4 more years where he gets an MVP, where he is the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the league, makes multiple All-Pros, then we can have the conversation. Until then, stop the insanity. Matthew Stafford does not belong in the Hall of Fame without a ticket. End of discussion. Like, I can't do this anymore with folks. You're such prisoner of the moment people, and it drives me insane.
Does leading the league in interceptions count as leading a major
category?
category?
A bunch too. I mean, he led the league in pick sixes twice, so if that counts for something. Let's put everybody just. It's amazing how nobody adjusts for the era. Why is it that the top 20 quarterbacks in passing yards and passing touchdowns have all played in the last decade? Like, stop with this. That's not the measure anymore.
Also, not being in the Hall of Fame does not mean you're not a good player.
Exactly.
The Hall of Fame is meant to be the top 1%, 0.5% of the. It's basically it's the cream of the cream, and there's nothing. It's not a knock on a guy to
Right.
say he's not a Hall of Famer.
Exactly.
And that, I think, is the discussion point that people take the wrong way. Just because we say Matthew Stafford's not a Hall of Famer does not mean that he's not an all-pro, in his respective group of quarterbacks this, generation. He's not a top 10, top 15 quarterback. But to me, Hall of Famer needs to transcend that.
I mean,
that is the definition of a Hall of Famer.
When you have made as many Pro Bowls as Tyrod Taylor and Mac Jones, you don't belong in a Hall of Fame discussion.
You're getting disrespectful now.
Stop! You're driving me nuts with this.
We're
not even talking
Tyrod
about
did not deserve
these
that
Pro Bowls.
God, Tyrod Taylor didn't deserve that, man. Come on,
sorry,
why you got to do that? You can say whatever you want about it. Hey, Super Bowl champ. Say whatever you want. Super Bowl champ.
Got it.
We could just leave it at that.
I mean, I feel like we did this when Flacco won a Super Bowl. Is Flacco going to go to the Hall of Fame? Oh, dear Lord.
All right, we're definitely moving on now. Let's look toward Super Bowl 57. And let's look at the board for the odds and for Super Bowl 57's winner. Zeno, you and I are both looking at the Bills at plus 750 as our favorites. Looking at Josh Allen and the Bills. Yeah.
Why not? I mean, listen, that's probably the most motivated team. If you ask me, as we look back on it reflectively, at least through the postseason, that's the best team that made the playoffs this year by a considerable margin.
Yeah.
I don't think it's close. The best team doesn't always win, and I understand that. But I would have loved to have seen them play Cincinnati in Buffalo. They would have boat raced that Bengals team. They would have embarrassed them. That's the reason why the Bengals even in this game is because the Bills couldn't take care of business in Kansas City and what was one of the best games we've seen in the last 20 years.
Yes.
So, I mean, I have no reason at plus 750. That number is only going to go down. The public's going to jump on it. There's no way the number goes up unless they start out 1-5, right? It's just that they will be the odds-on favorite with Kansas City for the first entire month of the year, unless things go horribly wrong and Josh Allen sustains an injury. Knock on wood, that doesn't happen. But, there's every reason to back the Bills at this point. As far as one of the more popular bets, I do have a couple of teams I'd take flyers on, but the Bills would probably be my number one.
Jared, how does the absence of Brian Daboll affect that as we're looking at the Bills? Because I think, that's a big deal with Daboll not being on that Bills staff anymore.
Look at what the Titans, they lose Arthur Smith and things. I don't want to, blame it all on that, but, their offense was a little bit more one-dimensional this year than it was last year. I think last year their offense was certainly better. And I think when you look at this board, there are some teams that I would be willing to take some flyers on. I agree with Zeno on the Bills. The Bills are the best team the Bills were the best team in the league on paper heading into the postseason. And if that continues next year, they will be a strong candidate. And Zeno's right. They will not go down. But here's the thing. It's hard to bet a 7. I wouldn't bet them today. When I look at this board, so what I usually do is last year, I'm trying to do this every year, take a flyer on a team that I think their odds are only going to decrease over the summer. Because there are, last year was the Cardinals, and their odds didn't decrease during the summer, but they decreased really quick in September when they started 4-0 and then 7-0, and then obviously things unraveled from there. So the Cardinals at 44-1 last year were my team, the long shot. I would consider the Dolphins. That's an intriguing situation. We mentioned this before the show, the Deshaun Watson landing spot's going to affect these odds drastically. To me, if you want a deep long shot, maybe the Jaguars take a step forward with Trevor Lawrence in his second year. Maybe. I don't know. I think that's a possibility. But at 100-1, I'd be willing to put a little sprinkle in there. If you want a team that I think can take that leap, and usually the leap to me, the Josh Allen leap happened in his third year. That was the year they made it to the AFC Championship game. And he really took that giant leap. It's Justin Herbert in his third year with the Chargers at 25-1. Terrible, tough division. Very tough division that they're going to be in. We'll see if the Broncos get, Aaron Rodgers, and we all know Patrick Mahomes in that division with the Chiefs, but we talked about the Chiefs being vulnerable too. So I think the Chargers at 25-1, if you want to talk about a little bit of value on the board, I could see that number drifting into the mid-20s if the Broncos don't get Aaron Rodgers. And then if they start hot, I could see them kind of, not flipping places with the Chiefs, but closing that gap between where the Chiefs are plus 750. So if I had to give out an official pick today, I would say the Chargers at 25-1 because of the Josh Allen taking the leap in year 3. Justin Herbert.
We had a comment in the chat saying that if the Niners had a halfway decent quarterback, they'll win the Super Bowl.
I don't think Lance is ready. I don't think Trey Lance is ready.
Yeah, I don't think he's ready either. I'm with you on that. But the other team that I would take a flyer on, guys, is the other AFC West team, and it's the Las Vegas Raiders. And it's a big if the coaching works out. If Josh McDaniels can elevate Derek Carr just a little bit more, that's going to be a really good team because that defense is really starting to round out. They got a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball. And they just need, get rid of all the other distractions and everything that they had to deal with this year and the ups and downs. If they can have some sort of stability, they are the one team in the AFC West that has routinely been able to handle the Chiefs on a routine basis. Derek Carr's had a lot of success against beating the Chiefs, who I think are just now more of a vulnerable team, that the armor is not as invincible after the Bengals toppled Kansas City coming back from that 21-3 deficit. So I think everybody feels like they can get a bite out of them. But that said, again, I think it's a great long shot pick to take because even as a playoff team this year, they're probably still getting, what are they, better than 20-1 easily, right?
Yeah. I'll tell you, the 50-1, the Raiders.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who I'm not taking. I'm not taking the Rams because their off-season situation. Maybe I'll bet them later in the year.
A lot of question marks.
They have way too many question marks to bet them at this stage. And I'm not betting the Bucs either because they rolled it back last year with all 22 starters coming back, and it didn't work out. And now they don't have a ton of depth there. And I think they're going to start. I think that little, mini dynasty, if you want to call it, the Tom Brady 2-year run where they had a chance to, win one Super Bowl and then, win a second this year. I think that little, mini run will probably come to an end too, and the Bucs will regress a little bit next year.
Man, well, that'll do it for football season this year. I mean, we'll be talking NFL before August, but
draft, the draft.
But I mean, we won't have it
next month.
I'm gonna miss NFL until August. We always do, but time flies. Time flies. Let's move on to college basketball. We got I don't know if it's a decent game or not. We got a game tonight. OK State at Kansas. Kansas 10.5-point favorites. Second matchup of these two teams tonight. Kansas won that first matchup by 11 points. But Oklahoma State on the road tonight, where they've lost 4 straight road games. This is not necessarily on paper a great matchup. The Cowboys' offense is bad, can't shoot, 245th in offensive efficiency. They shot 35% from the floor in that first meeting. And Kansas turned the ball over 17 times and still ended up winning by 11. But, I mean, if there's one thing I know about college basketball, that if the number's too good to be true, it probably is. So something wonky is going to happen tonight. Can I convince either of you to take the 10.5 points with Oklahoma State tonight?
No. I mean, look, since that loss that Kansas took to Kentucky at the end of January, anybody know what kind of shooting Kansas has done since then? I'll tell you. 54% from the field since that loss. And that's been against 3 top 25 defenses in Iowa State, Texas, and Baylor. This is a team that is also allowing opponents to only shoot 39%. They've been dominating on the glass in the month of February, 35 rebounds per game to allowing only 28. And you talked about that beatdown last time of Oklahoma State. They out-rebounded them in that matchup 47-31. The only concern for Kansas is to hold on to the basketball. Oklahoma State is top 10 in the nation in steals. If they don't turn the ball over routinely, this should be a rout by the Jayhawks at home.
Very hard for me to trust the Kansas Jayhawks after that. I gave them out. They ruined my POD streak when they blew it against Texas. That was.
Are they in your graveyard? Hold on. Is Kansas?
No, they're not in the graveyard. But okay. I don't put teams in the graveyard. I don't put teams in the graveyard. I just very cautious when I bet them. But I will say this. Oklahoma State is not one of those teams that I think can get the points when needed because of their shooting woes. Texas shot it really well in that game, and they were at home. Oklahoma State's on the road in this spot. They're not a good shooting team. They're 286 in effective field goal percentage. 236. My eyes here this morning are a little bit wonky. But they are a bottom-tier team shooting the basketball. They are a bottom-tier team in turnover percentage, which is what Texas was, but Texas was at home and they were playing with some motivation. I think that Kansas team is really good, and I will be betting them again at some point during this run. Not tonight, but they are really good. I think if I was going to play this game tonight, it would be Kansas or pass.
Right, exactly. I get not betting Kansas, but it's Kansas or pass. I
don't like this Oklahoma State team. I will say this though, their defensive numbers are really strong. But they've lost 5 out of their last 7 games. They've got some bad losses in that stretch. The Kansas State losses, the Iowa State loss at home in overtime took a lot out of them. They only scored 51 points against Texas. To me, I think they're gonna struggle to score tonight. They're gonna struggle to keep up with this Kansas offense, I think.
Yeah, this is a pass for me, but like you said, it's either Kansas. You either play Kansas or you pass it. Like sounds
Yeah.
like we're all
Yeah.
doing here.
And it might not be a bad play to take Kansas in the first half. I mean, they are pretty good
Yeah.
at getting out early and sprinting early, but
I
if
will
the
say this:
shooting
the
is
movement is on Oklahoma State. It did go from 12 to 10.5, so you're getting a little bit of a discount on 10.5 because it did move a little bit against the Jayhawks. But so the early market movement was on the Cowboys, but that doesn't always mean anything. That's just could be sharps grabbing numbers early on in the process.
That was a lot of points. That's a lot of points.
It is.
So,
12 is a lot, and it makes sense that a conference game moves a little bit in the Dogs' direction early. But Kansas is a juggernaut when they're rolling. They really are, and I think if they're rolling tonight offensively, Oklahoma State's going to struggle to keep up.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk some NBA. The Nets have lost 11 straight games. And
wait, can I give out one college hoops pick?
I'm sorry. Yeah,
yeah, you're good. You're good. I want to give out Dayton -2.5 tonight on the road at Rhode Island. I'm selling high, so I got burned really hard. We gave out David.
Hold on, you're going back to Rhodey after Rhodey. You're going back.
Fading Rhodey. See, unlike you, I don't put teams in the graveyard or the reverse graveyard. I cap the numbers. We're capping the numbers. Rhode Island. So I think Rhode Island's a fade. Honestly, that game against Davidson was a bit of an anomaly. Davidson did not shoot it well from three, and Rhode Island is not a good team. In my opinion, I think Rhode Island is a very sloppy team. They're one of the worst free throw shooting teams in the country, and I think Dayton might be better than Davidson. Davidson's having a really good year, but Dayton is long. They're athletic. They've won 5 of their last 6. Last 3 wins by an average of 25.5 points. The top 40 shooting team, top 60 rebounding team. Turnovers are the concern for me here. They're a bad turnover team, but if they can limit turnovers, I think they go Kingston, wherever they play their stupid games for Rhode Island. Dayton covers 2.5 tonight. That's the only college basketball pick I'm giving out tonight.
Don't make it sound like I'm like some kind of grim reaper. There's only
you
one.
You are the grim reaper.
Will Wade is the only person in the graveyard.
You put teams in the graveyard 5 minutes into the game starting.
No. Will Wade. Look, LSU basketball is the only team in the graveyard right now. That's it.
Okay.
In the 2022
can you zombie back? Like, is there like a zombie apocalypse?
No. Once you're in the ground.
Once you're in, that's it.
Yeah. Once the dirt touches you, you're done. You're done.
Fair enough.
The dirt has touched LSU basketball.
Yeah. By the way, can I give out one quick college pick?
Yeah, please.
Virginia Tech UVA. Virginia Tech UVA.
Yeah, good game tonight, actually. That's
over 120.5. Virginia Tech is 6-3 to the over in their last 9 home games. UVA 6-1 to the over in their last 7 road games, and 5-1 to the over in their last 6 overall. So a very low number at 120.5. We'll take the over between Hokies and the Wahoos.
Those Virginia totals are like, those are tough to watch, but they are extremely well.
Yeah, I mean, I watched 2 Virginia games this year, Notre Dame and then the Duke game, where they came out. I mean, the completely different game when they were at Duke. I mean, that was a great game for them. That's the best I've seen Virginia look in a long time, but it's an interesting game tonight. All right, let's move on to the NBA now. The Nets have lost 11 straight, just traded away James Harden. Is this still a team that you guys think can win the East? Right now, they're plus 280 to win the East and plus 600 to win the finals. Keep in mind, they're getting Kevin Durant back. They're just added Ben Simmons, Andre Drummond, so they're going to have that presence inside. Seth Curry, I think that they're still intriguing. I don't know if they still do they still deserve to be the favorites? I think that's banking a lot on faith and hoping that they get it right, but it's not as easy as just putting teams together on paper.
I think they do. I think people are undervaluing what Seth Curry is going to bring to this team from a shooting standpoint. How much is going to change the dynamic of what this offense look like? I mean, is it hard for me to bet them simply because if they're down 3-2 in a series and they have to play a game at home without Kyrie Irving in the postseason, it's like,
that could change though.
It could, but if you're asking me to make a wager today, I can't do it without.
You don't have the info.
So I mean, it's tough for me to make a wager. I get why they're the favorite. Theoretically, this team should make the Eastern Conference Finals, and you don't really know what you're going to get from Ben Simmons. So anything you can get is a plus. But even if you just add Seth Curry and you have Kyrie Irving and a healthy Kevin Durant and Andre Drummond, that seems like enough to get to the Eastern Conference Finals for that team.
I think the Heat are the best team in the East. I don't know.
Heat are very slept on. Not getting a lot of respect.
I think. I mean, don't get me wrong. Kevin Durant's an amazing player. James Harden, Joel Embiid, those guys are amazing players. Miami just continues to do what that no one expects them to do, which is win games with I don't want to say under the radar talent. They've got a lot of talent on that team, but it's not flashy, sexy talent like Durant and then Harden and those guys. So if I had to make a wager today on a team in the Eastern Conference to either win the East or win the NBA title, I probably wouldn't bet the Heat to win the NBA title. I'd probably bet them to win the East because I see them in the Eastern Conference Finals again. And at the number that they're being posted, I think I saw 6-7-1 in that range to win the East. To me, that's a number that I can have some flexibility with if they get to the Eastern Conference Final, which I do expect them to do so. So actually plus 550. So that number's starting to come down a little bit. I saw 7-1 a couple weeks ago. That number's coming down just a little bit now on the Heat. So maybe you want to get in the Heat now. I'm looking on FanDuel. Maybe you can find a better number at a different shop. But Brooklyn is tough. We have no idea what's going to happen with KD. We have no idea what Ben Simmons is going to look like. Drummond is going to help, I think, a little bit too. So will Steph Curry, no doubt. But I think the Heat are the team. If I had to bet on one team today in the East, I think the Heat would be my team.
You guys have any NBA plays that you are looking at tonight?
Nothing. I'm taking a break from NBA till after the All-Star break. This is the last couple of days before the break, and you just don't know who's checked out. Honestly, the NBA All-Star break week is probably the toughest week to bet the games because I think every team has 1 or 2 games left. These guys could just be done. Hey, we'll see you after the break. And you know how these guys take nights off. Like it's really tough to cap, I think, this week.
Glaze, I'll save mine for the play of the day because it is my play of the day. So I'll give my NBA pick out before the show.
All right.
I did look at Zeno's pick. I do like Zeno's pick. So I think that if I was going to play something, I might.
Mine's my play of the day too. So I'm going to save mine for that then as well. So we can move on to ice picks then. Where Jared, I know you got a couple picks on the ice tonight.
Yeah, so I'm targeting this Wings Wild game. I do this sometimes where I do like the waterfall approach where I'll lay it on the puck line and then I'll do an extra lay on the 2.5 to get a little extra juice. So I'm going to lay it with the Wild tonight. I do like this Wild team a lot off a really nice win against the Hurricanes. They're 15-3-1 at home this year, and they're averaging almost 4.5 goals per game at home. That's second best in the NHL at home. They are a good team on home ice. And the Wings, they're playing well. 2 straight wins since the All-Star break. But their last 3 losses before the All-Star break, 5-3, 7-4, and 8-5. So when they lose, they lose. And they're terrible on the road. A minus 30 goal differential. They've scored the 4th fewest goals on the road this year, 7th most goals allowed. And again, to me, when you look at these 2 teams, the analytics say that they're in complete opposite directions. The Money Puck ratings, which is one of the great analytics sites I use for hockey, 4th for the Wild, 26th for the Wings. I think there's a big gap between these 2 teams. I think the Wild, after losing their first game back from the All-Star break against the Jets, come back with that nice win against the Hurricanes. Tight game, 3-2. I think there's going to be a little more distance between themselves and the Wings tonight. So we'll lay it on the puck line, minus 1.5. I got plus 110. And then the 2.5, I wouldn't go nuts with that. Half unit, quarter unit sprinkle just for fun at plus 200. I found that number on Bet365. But that Wild puck line at minus 1.5, I really like tonight.
Zeno, are you on the ice tonight at all?
I am, yeah. I'm going to back the Toronto Maple Leafs here against the Kraken. I'll lay the 1.5 at plus 110 on the puck line. Toronto lost the first 2 games of this West Coast swing that they're on, and their offense has sort of sputtered. This is a great chance for Austin Matthews and company to come back and bounce back and get a win against a bad Kraken team at home. And Grubauer in net is giving up almost a goal more per game than Campbell is for Toronto. Plus, this offense for the Maple Leafs averaging more than a goal a game better than the Kraken are. So I think they break out of this little mini slump that they're in. And plus, the Kraken are just coming off a win against the Ducks. So maybe a little bit of a letdown spot for those guys there. But I'll lay the 1.5 on the puck line at plus 110 with the Maple Leafs.
All right, I'm looking at the comments right now. Going back to college basketball, Daryl's saying Jared isn't a fan of Rhode Island. Yeah.
No, I'm not a fan of Rhode Island. But you know what? If they lose tonight to Dayton, I'll be a fan of them again.
You might have to you might have to relook at Rhode Island. See what your
the Rams, the Rhody Rams.
Let's move on to plays of the day. Jared, we got any 3 stars on the website?
Yeah, I was looking earlier. It's a total. Actually, to be honest with you, I probably shouldn't even give it out because it's Zeno's play of the day. So I'll just let Zeno give it out. But Philip Tomic is on Zeno's play of the day as well.
Okay.
3-star play on the website. Go ahead, Zeno.
All right. Well, listen, I'm going to go to Chicago, the Spurs and the Bulls here. It's a huge number at 234, but I'm going to play the over. This is a Bulls team that over their last 10 games has averaged 121 points, but they're also giving up 118 per game. San Antonio moving into the top 10 in offense in the league. They are averaging 118 points a game, but they're also giving up around 115. Chicago 10-3 to the over in their last 13 contests. The last 2 times these 2 teams met, the over was 232. They blew right by it into the mid 250s. This is a spot here where I'm not going to fight it and try to find ways that this thing will go under. These are 2 bad defenses against 2 very competent offenses. And between DeRozan and Vujovic for Chicago, this should be a slugfest and a high-scoring affair. So I'll take the over 234 between the Bulls and the Spurs tonight.
Oh, man, over 234. All right. Jared, you're going back to the ice.
Yeah, so I'll give out that wild pick again. I mean, again, it's a light card tonight. Only 4 hockey games. The NBA doesn't really interest me because the All-Star break stuff. And if I were going to give out a college hoops play of the day, I think Dayton would be it. But I think the Wild at plus 110, laying the puck line there. Again, they're coming off of a really nice win over the Hurricanes, and they're really good at home. Arguably one of the best home teams in the league. And I think the Wings, who have been kind of feisty post All-Star break, little regression tonight. And when they do lose, they tend to lose by the puck line. So we'll lay the 1.5 goals at plus 110 with the Wild tonight. And Philip Tomic, as mentioned, 3-star play today is also on that over in Chicago between the Bulls and the Spurs. So a lot of love, a lot of synergy between the Pickswise capping crew tonight.
I'm going actually back to the NBA, and I'm looking at that Nets-Kings matchup. I'm going with Sabonis over 11.5 rebounds. He's one of the best rebounders in the league, right? He's averaging 12 rebounds this month. Since joining the Kings, only played a couple games, 14 rebounds against the T-Wolves, 11 against the Wizards. And I like his matchup tonight going against the Nets, who rank in the bottom third of the league in opponent rebounds per game. The last couple games for them, Bam Adebayo grabbed 14. Kyle Kuzma grabbed 13. So I like Sabonis to get over that 11.5, and I think we're getting good value at minus 105 on FanDuel. So 11.5, I don't really love the number, but I think Sabonis I could see 12, 13 rebounds tonight for him. For sure. Well, I hope.
Has he played a game yet in Sacramento?
Yeah, he's played 2. He's played 14
2
rebounds in his first game against the T-Wolves, then 11 with the Wizards. So
he's having himself a nice little start there in Sacramento.
And I mean, listen, this is a guy. He was the leading rebounder for the Pacers.
He's a stud.
So
he's a stud. Yeah,
I think he's a top 5 rebounder in the whole NBA. So I like the matchup tonight, and I like the value at minus 105. So that's my play.
Good call. I like
going back to the rebounding board. That's where I seem to be.
Yeah, you've been doing well on the boards market. We're gonna call you the board man.
the board man.
Chairman of the board.
I clean the glass.
Chairman of the boards.
Yeah. Board man get paid. Great call, Justin. Great call. All right, well, that'll do it for us today. We will be back at 10 a.m. tomorrow for Jared and Mark. I'm Alex. Make sure you subscribe to the Pickswise YouTube channel and follow us on social media so you don't miss out on any of the action. Good luck with your plays tonight.